Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Um, Before I dive into things, does anyone have any preliminary questions, thoughts, or anything they want to share? Okay. Let me just. So, oh, was someone gonna say something? Okay, so the primary thing I'm working on, let me just get these windows straight, is trying to get a workable submission for the Global Health Workshop, which is due on the 13th, I believe. So, yeah, so again, so this is just a kind of preliminary um, abstract. It's basically their call is just a call for abstracts, so it doesn't have to be that thorough. It's only 2 pages. So right now, I'm thinking for this abstract, I'm just going to do a very basic kind of study of whether the transfer learning and, for instance, training on all geocodes at once uh, results in better performance versus just the basic hyperparameter sweeps. Also, if there's time, I'm going to try pre-training on solar or wind forecasting data to see if that kind of general large-scale time series has a positive transfer when forecasting the diseases.
That sounds good.
So that's kind of the idea for that abstract. So right now, I have a couple different experiments currently running. Um, where, oh yeah, so this is the big one I'm running is I'm still looping through the basic hyperparameter sweeps on all the different geocodes. I finally did just create a for loop to run on all of this. Then the second thing, which we'll obviously compare it to, is the actual transfer learning component. And so for that, there's a little bit more work to do because um, some of the some of the geocodes, and I discovered this on the parameter sweeps, have different sequence input and output lengths that they work better on. So for instance, like Antwerp or somewhere else might work better with only one timestamp of history, but some other place, I think Washington or some other places work better with like 10 timestamps. Luckily, with the model I'm using, it's just basically of, oh yeah, I did switch to kind of a multi-head attention model a while ago. But with the model I'm using, it's a pretty um, basic model, but all we really have to vary is that final linear layer for the sequence length, because that's the only thing where sequence length and forecast length is a variable. But there still needs to be some code written to essentially work with that state dict and only initialize the multi-head based on the pre-trained weights, et cetera, et cetera. Well, actually, all these layers based on the pre-trained weights, but not initialize that final layer for the variable length sequences. So in brief overview, so that needs to get done most likely by myself because I don't know if anyone is good at editing that stuff. And then once that's done, we can finally then take those pre-trained weights from all the different geocodes and load them and then initialize that like one final different linear layer and then study how the transfer learning works for that and do similar hyperparameter sweeps but on those pre-trained weights essentially. Um, so that's kind of the overview of, I guess, just tasks to be done in general. Does anyone have any questions on that?
Mm, we are finding the forecast for how many days in forward, like for the next 5 days or 10 days or something
So, so yeah,
currently.
so right now, um, for the forecast, what I'm looking at is I'm predicting 9 days out. It says so in the config file. So basically inference, so the actual test metric I'm getting at inference time is we're starting on April 21st and it's forecasting 10 days out.
Okay.
So by the way, for all these experiments, I'm using this repository I built a while ago actually for river flow forecasting, but it works well for general time series stuff too. It basically, how it works is it takes this generic configuration file, which includes the model name, because there are a couple different models, the number of time series, the sequence
Okay.
length,
That's
essentially.
great.
Um, so, and then all these parameters are managed well. So that's kind of the overview of that. Are there any questions about any of that?
Not from my side.
Okay. So yeah, that's what.
So,
Oh yeah. What were you saying?
so is your repository public? I thought I saw the log on it.
Yeah. The our time series forecasting repository is public. This is private, so I could invite you to it right now. I was actually working on this with a couple others, but yeah, I could definitely invite you. But I am planning on open sourcing this too at some point. It's just before open sourcing it, we did want to publish something out of it, but I can definitely invite you guys to it if you send me your GitHub usernames. So.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I actually think I have most of you on GitHub username anyway already. So I'll add all of you guys to that, and then you can let me know if you can access that as well. So that's kind of the goal for just the next couple days. Um, if anyone wants to keep working on integrating those other kind of horizontal data sources, that's good too, because long term I do still think that's really what's going to improve the forecast. Obviously we need to integrate that mobility data. I talked with Sergey more and he really thought that was important to include in the model. It's just at this point I don't have enough time to incorporate it in this kind of preliminary abstract. So I did see Maggie. I finished up a couple PRs on the mobility data, which is good. So I think starting after this, we can actually start predicting with the mobility data once we get this immediate thing done. So yeah, that's kind of all I have from my side. Does anyone have any further kind of questions, comments on that?
Not from my side.
Okay, so yeah, I will add you guys to that repo too, so you can access it. I think I've already committed these basic forecasting notebooks to the other public repo. So once you have access to that repo, you should be able to yeah, play around with these if you want to. Oh, the one other thing though, I don't know. I have to figure out how team permissions work on weights and biases, because as I said, all these results are being logged to weights and biases, where I was like kind of composing those reports and those graphs. And I do know I need to supply like an API key to log into that. So yeah, I don't know how exactly I can add you. I think it's listed under a project though, so I think if you guys sign up on weights and biases, then I could add you to the project, but I need to know your usernames first for that. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the immediate thing. Again, if you're not interested or don't have time to work on this particular part, that's fine. You can keep working on the horizontal data sources. I'm trying to iterate quickly at this point to get something out to this workshop, because I think, even if it's preliminary at this point, then if we get accepted and have like a talk there or something, we could highlight all of our improvements in like the horizontal data sources.
Very helpful for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Isaac, I do have a time for on this weekend, so maybe I can pick up few tasks and then start working on it.
Okay.
Let me know which one is you are doing, so I'll not repeat that.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, I'll send you a message, and as I said, there are a couple permissions things to resolve. So actually, if you haven't already, if you want to create an account on weights and biases, as I was saying, go do that, because you can just log on with GitHub too. So you can just sync it to your GitHub account, and then I can add people to the team so they could access this project. Um, so yeah, and then yeah, just ping me on Slack if you have questions, and if you do have time, then I'll like help you get like up to speed and figure out which specific task to work on.
Sure.
Okay, so no, I don't want to close that yet. Yeah, so besides that, I don't have too much else. Let me, yeah, Wendy, do you have any updates from Team Geo, or know how kind of their work's going more generally? I would like to just keep kind of up to date with what's going on with them as well.
So they seem to have gone a bit quiet at the moment. I think because Manuel is ill, and he has been driving Tasgio. So I'm slightly unsure what exactly kind of how. I mean, they're like at the moment they have various data sets that are kind of in a PR state, but it seems to have just stalled. So I'm not completely sure what's going on, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll just keep checking in there, because as I say, long term, I do think we're obviously consuming the data they bring to us. So it's good to like have clarity about what they're doing and so that can guide how we ingest the data into our models.
I
Okay.
think for like the weather data, Tasgeo does have two different sources of data, but I haven't had a chance at looking at how exactly that particular API work yet.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. As I said, it's not a huge issue now, but yeah, maybe next week sometime we can look into it, or try to have a cross call with them and see what the state of their data looks moving forward. That could be helpful.
Mm-hmm. So, you said you spoke to Sergey? Has he got any more ideas on like data sets and stuff?
Yeah, so he thought that the intervention data was important in various ways. So he definitely thought we wanted to include the mobility data, also data on like the governmental interventions in case those maybe didn't capture in the mobility data. So that was his kind of main recommendation about that. Also, I still think who is it, Jane, the other epidemiologist, said that the UV light data was important. I think she was maybe actually working on that too. Um, yeah, she posted something a couple of days ago about that. So I'll check in with her about that too.
So I think she's working on a pull request because I was giving her some guidance on how to structure the PR. So I think when she's ready, if you kind of just ask her, I think she's probably getting a PR ready for the UV data.
Okay, to task Geo, that is.
No, to the data crawler for now.
Okay, and then yeah, and that sounds good. In that case, I'll definitely see it when she makes it, and we'll review it. Okay, all that sounds good. Any other thoughts or questions? Yeah, so what was it? So yeah, both uh, Pranjala and Aradhana, I'll get back to you about, what you could work on to maybe assist this over the weekend. I think yeah. How familiar are both of you with PyTorch again, and kind of adding and subtracting layers? Do you have any experience with that?
I work primarily with TensorFlow, so not much, but I can go around. I can learn it.
Yeah, I can also like work on that. Not an issue.
Okay, sure. So yeah, I'll get back to you on those existing tasks. I hope to finish up a bit more on that before the end of today, so that hopefully it's just a training thing where we're just running different experiments. And then yeah, as I said, sign up on the weights and biases, and then I can add you to the project, so your data will be kind of logged in a similar fashion to it, so that we can have those results. Okay, so yeah, those are the steps on my end I'll take. Unless anyone has anything additional, I will end the meeting, and we can just continue talking about that on Slack.
Not from me. I need to still work a little more on the TFT model that I have, because
Okay.
right now I'm not generating any charts. So I will keep it in the side going forward for that. Maybe it can help.
Oh yeah. You did that, yeah, temporal fusion transformer model. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. Also, yeah, when that's ready itself, then yeah, definitely make a pull request, and I'll merge that in. Yeah, I've looked at the temporal fusion transformer before, but for now I was focusing on just simpler models. But I do think, particularly as we get more complex data, that might be a useful model to work with. So, yeah, did you ever plot like the expected versus predicted values for the actual time steps?
That's the issue right now because I did not have time that time. So I'm a little behind on that. The fermented is generating output. I'm not actually predicted it. It's just giving me the losses value currently. So I will make it. I will make it sure it works, and we get the uh, chart or the line graph for it.
Yeah, or even if it's easier if you just output the like predictions unscaled, that's fine. Then we do have a couple data viz people, I think, on our team, and they could probably plot it pretty easily. Just as long as it's the actual predictions unscaled, because it's hard to know exactly what scaling was going on in the model.
Yeah, the problem was that I was uh, targeting more of the values in 1500s and 2000s, and the result I was getting was 2 point something. So I think there's some error in that my code. So that's why I'm not gone through it right now.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Are you using a standard scaler or something to scale it?
Yeah, a standard scaler.
Okay, and then you're trying to unscale it with the same one.
I don't think so. I'm scaling right now because we first scale it and then we predict the values. So I think I should get into a more wide range. Maybe I can get the data of that. Let me work on it a little more. I will read the paper again and try to get it work.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I haven't looked too thoroughly over what exactly you did, but yeah, that might be. I do know, like, just in time series in general, like how you scale it and what you're unscaling it with can make a big difference. So Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, sorry if I dragged that meeting on a bit. Yep. Okay, I guess then I'll end the meeting unless anyone has anything last minute, and yeah, I'll continue to follow up with you guys on Slack.
Good day, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye.